back to Hot Up the Mess. I'm your host, Samantha Bush, and to kind of usher in this long, weird weekend where we're not working Monday, but we are working Monday to bring in the 4th, I am joined by one of my favorite people on earth, Chris Lewis, also the co-host of Shortcomings with me. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well, happy to be back. Now, what I failed to remember is this is a visual medium.
Yeah, I obviously forgot that as well.
It's tough to be back on the StreamYard,
Without that blur.
Yeah.
Without that Zoom blur.
They got to get some touch-up features on this.
That's what I was like looking around in the settings.
Yeah, I've searched those settings high and low.
Yeah, it's tough. Ruby and we have this like morning routine where we do this like thing in the morning, like where we're playing.
Yes, a routine.
Right.
We have this thing we have a morning routine. It's this thing we do every morning.
Every day. And she pawed me in the face this morning out of just pure excitement and joy. And now I have like a scratch on my lip.
Oh, well, that's very sweet.
Yeah, she was like, and I couldn't even get mad. I was like, whatever. Do you have any plans for the 4th?
Not really. I usually spend it with a friend of mine, but he's actually in, I believe, the Baltics. But he'll be back on the 4th, and we're going to hang out on the 5th. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's not really it's not really an important holiday to me, and I got to tell you, I'm not feeling great about this country. So
the Supreme Court has been rolling in today.
When is this coming out?
Today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Supreme Court has been knocking us left and right today. So no student loan forgiveness, affirmative action, down bad, gone. What was the other one? Oh, no queer rights.
Businesses are able to discriminate against the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, and that could just like be continuous down basically into like gay marriage being outlawed, discrimination against other groups that are considered
it's a highway to hell.
Protected classes. So the Supreme Court is, I don't know why their docket is scheduled for the summer.
Because we're distracted.
I don't know what time I would like them to be making these decisions because there isn't really a great season for, knocking our rights down.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like the end of June is like a great time.
And yet,
it sounds like on the anniversary, they're like, wow, we're still dealing with the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Boom, hitting us with these.
Hitting us. I was at a bachelorette party when I lost that right last year. I simply walked into a room of girls I've never met. I've met them once, and I just looked at them and I said, "You guys, you lost a right to choose today."
I was sitting on my friend Bree's couch watching Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life fall, and that bird was talking to Rory before the Life and Death Brigade came and rights were stricken down.
Stripped. But
that's not what we're here to discuss
today.
That's
not what we're here to discuss. It's too much for me to even like really wrap my head around. But I do have a question for you.
I'll try to answer.
This is a dumb one, but I genuinely want to know.
I'm sipping on that mic quite a lot.
So the president can't like override this?
Oh, sweetie.
He can't? Like, what is his job? Like, can't he like become a dictator and just start overruling these horrible things?
Okay, you notice how Trump didn't do that? So we do have some semblance of a government like structure. Basically, the only thing that could happen now is all of these rights would need to be codified by the
So then why aren't we doing
by
that?
Congress. Well, because we have a divided Congress. Like it would be nearly it is very rare for there to be a party that has a supermajority in the House and the Senate.
Oh my God.
Or for the issue to be bipartisan. So we did get gay marriage codified.
Right. I would like my rights to be codified as well.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, sweetie. So
great. Anyway, let's take a hard left, Yeah, we can't discuss this anymore. It really hurts me.
Where are we going?
We got to go over to OC. Chris.
Happy to be there.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned this on Shortcomings this week that like you're really enjoying Orange County.
Well, I did mention that on Shortcomings because it wasn't on mic.
It wasn't? We talk into that mic. I don't know what.
I mean,
don't
the
know
mic
what's
was
being
set up,
said,
but it wasn't hot.
but it wasn't hot. Okay, it wasn't lit up.
But I
So
am
you
deeply
mentioned to me.
enjoying this season of OC.
Okay, as am I. Like, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So tell me your thoughts. Like, let's
It
start at the top.
feels. Here's the thing. I actually had, in the preparation for Orange County, gone back to the text and was watching a lot of like the Brooks years and the post Brooks years.
You were sending me a lot of texts about Alexis and the
A
trampoline park.
lot of time with Alexis and Gretchen.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about them in a bit.
Okay.
And so watching this season, and I know a lot of people have said this, that it's a return to form. It isn't. Like, the show actually isn't as good as it once was, and that's okay. But what I think what it's benefiting from, like all of us, we are a product of our context and our environment. This season comes after the exhaustion of how we have felt about the last several seasons of Housewives we watched. Like, what have we been hit with of late?
Like, not OC, but just in general.
Yeah, like Erica and all that nonsense.
Erica, Jen Shaw, Sandoval, the New Jersey reunion with Louis.
It's just been a lot of like high stakes drama that might include the federal government.
Right. I've said that. I'm like, we have flown too close to the sun, and the sun is the federal government.
Or like Scandival, that was just like inescapable. Like, no matter
couldn't get away.
It was like, no matter when, it was poking into every aspect of life. I was trying to watch The View, and then there was Lala,
who you said actually would be a great addition to The View.
She charmed even Joy Behar. Ariana's appearance was more fraught and boring, but Lala shined in that context. I'd like to see
have
a
discussed
View-esque show on Bravo.
They tried that with the chat room.
IRL. No one succeeded on Zoom.
No one succeeded on Zooms except the Real Houses of Atlanta Zoom reunion.
Well, that was the best. We should have packed up Zoom as soon as that finished and said, like, we don't need to do more Zoom content.
Yeah, I can't believe we watched the Beverly Hills season on Zoom.
And those crazy boxes. Oh God,
that was wild.
But what I mean to say is that I don't know that this season of OC is like thrilling, amazing, perfect television. It is just a release on the valve of tension we've all felt over the last 3 years of Bravo thinking the way to produce good reality TV is to ratchet up the drama to such a level. Criminals, demons, cheating scandals. Like, it was just like
not
slow
taking
down.
There's airplane crash victims.
Yeah, even Potomac last season, like, it was relatively, if you think about what they were talking about, it actually isn't that different than what that Jen woman is dealing with. Just a husband who might be bad and might be cheating, but it was treated with such an operatic level of drama by Candace that the season lacked any joy.
You've really turned on Candy.
I can't stand her. I think she's single-handedly dragging that show down with her negative energy. She's got to learn to play with the gang.
That is something she does need to learn to do.
Like, it is like a part of the show is just like, yeah, somebody said your husband is like not great and might be cheating on you. You know what? You're gonna need to be in a bounce house with them the next day.
You're gonna have to be on the soccer field in those big balls.
Like, just get
hitting
used to
each other.
Sweetie. Like, do you know what Karen has said to Giselle? And Giselle's just popped back up to Karen's house the next day. Like, I got you a bottle of wine.
Giselle, Karen, and Ashley have delivered pizza to an address. They've like scoped out Karen's house, and Karen forgives them. You know,
think about what all of these women have said to Ashley Darby, and she treats them like their sisters.
The things that these women have done and said to Ashley Darby, and she just moves on. And like, that's what makes a good housewife, and that is Tamra Judge.
And Luann, like, you have to be able to just be like, whatever, I don't care. For the good of the show, I can't drag this down. And so Potomac felt heavy. Even Miami towards the end started to feel a little nuts with
the Lenny stuff.
Oh, well, that felt light and breezy, actually. I was referring more to Adriana's comment about Frankie.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Like, even that season started, and that whole, remember she wrote that letter to Marisol's liver?
Yeah, that was
the fuck do we watch?
Andy was like reading it, and then he was like, signed
by Marisol's liver. Huh. All right.
He was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Oh my god, you're right. You're right.
So things just started to feel super heavy. This season of OC feels like an amuse-bouche. Like, you can't really hold on to it. It's
I
the
know.
creamiest, lightest dessert you've ever had, and nothing seems to matter. I forget about it the moment I turn it off,
I
and that is
know.
exactly what I want from a season of Housewives right
Me
now.
too. I
No, I hope
don't
there isn't drama, like, although isn't,
I'd
like, camera
honestly
coming for, Heather's marriage by the end of the season? I think there are,
what?
like I think there are, like, cheating rumors coming that Terry's
Yeah, but,
cheating.
like, these
But again,
that
that
I
feels
feel
like
like it's not
whatevs.
even yeah, because like, we all know he's not, and if he is, who cares?
He's not.
You don't think he is? Terry Dubrow on Heather?
I mean,
I you know
I
how I
don't
feel about those 2. Those 2
I
are
don't wanna
endgame
be
for me.
unkind, but let's just say it might be a Sandoval
Nope,
t-shirt situation.
but she keeps her t-shirt on.
You know what I'm saying?
Chris, why do you come on this podcast and say things like this? So just knowing that you're gonna get fucking comments.
You know, actually, people they're usually like, "Oh, there he goes again."
There he goes again.
It's like
So
he's gonna say it.
how I feel about this season of Orange County is like it's exactly what like I'm just gonna echo everything you said, but it's also just something that like we needed like desperately. I was like getting the Summer House reunion and then the
Oh,
New
that
Jersey
was so
reunion
dark.
and then the Vanderpump reunion all
Ooh.
I was like, we are being hit left and right. Like I felt I was being fucking smacked.
And then we
Like
were
it was
watching them, by the
so
way, we were watching them at night. We were waking up in the morning, watching on Peacock, unedited. Like, it was
it
like,
was
I
and then
haven't
we were
watched it.
going on Instagram and like seeing all the shit on Instagram. I was just like, I'm tired. Like, and
Everyone's
this is
running
shit
like a
I love.
Dumois account basically now. I feel like when it came to that scandal.
Oh my god, everybody was Dumas. And the thing is like I obviously like love Bravo and I enjoy this all, but sometimes it just can get a little too high stakes. And then I'm just like, oh boy, this is like not fun to like really give my opinion on.
And everyone gets so angry. I felt like you couldn't say
Mhm.
one good thing about, well, I'm trying to think of one good thing to say about any of these people. I
Yeah.
flashed through like 5 men and I was like, "Well, I don't have anything good to say about
You have
Louis."
something good to say about James.
Who's James? Oh, Kennedy, but what's there bad to say?
Oh, okay, that's a take.
Is
No, but
there a
like the
bad thing to
Louis
say about him? He's
stuff
wonderful.
The Louis stuff was so heavy, like,
Schwartz,
scary.
I have a lot of good stuff to say about him.
Okay.
You know, I love that guy. But
Yeah, you
Louis
love
terrible.
Schwartz. Louis is so scary.
I'm thinking about watching Stars on Mars.
Because of Schwartz?
And Portia, you know, that's
That
2
duo,
stars.
what a what a combo.
And if Portia wasn't
So,
married, I would be shipping them getting together.
if she wasn't with Simon, picturing Portia and
Portia and a date with
Schwartz,
Tom Schwartz, that shoeless idiot. That
just
shoeless
never
Joe
not in a
Jackson.
scandal. Oh my god. She would literally, like, eat him alive.
You know he's my body positive king.
Yeah,
Have I
well,
talked
when he
about
got
that
in
on
that
this
bath.
podcast?
Yeah, when he got in that
Okay.
bathtub, we
Yeah.
felt represented.
I just feel like he's led it all hang out there on national television. He is the original Alicia Keys.
Wow. When
He's
did she let it
brave.
all out?
Well, just like how she's going on national TV with no makeup on. I mean, Schwartz
She's
is on,
definitely wearing makeup.
but Schwartz is on national television just shirtless, not caring,
Hunched over,
drunk,
pale.
hungover. He looks like shit, and I really appreciate it.
He's always shuffling around that one-bedroom apartment like
He is Carrie Bradshaw in that apartment.
he is Carrie Bradshaw. Okay, back to Orange County.
Okay.
So, I felt last season with Heather Dubrow, I was like, okay, I see a light at the end of this tunnel because it was Orange County was so bad for so long. And like,
Was it? It
I
was
didn't.
really just that one bad COVID season with that a woman who was in a cult. Remember her?
What?
Remember that woman who was in a
Bronwyn?
cult? No, the other one. I want to say her name was like Lizzie, Elizabeth,
Oh, Elizabeth
and she was in a
Vargas.
cult. Yes.
Was she in a cult? Oh, she
Yeah,
was in
like
a
she'd
cult.
been rescued from a cult
Yeah. She was like Kimmy
and then
Schmidt.
thrown into another one called The Real Housewives of Orange County.
Yeah, and so there was that season. I don't know. It felt to me
Tamara's
that it
last
was
season was also not very good when she was in that bush.
Yeah, like she went out in a bush. And I love that they joked about that, by the way.
Yeah.
On the season, she was like, how embarrassing. She's like, my last season, my last frame as a housewife was me in a bush. Like mortifying. But so to see Heather, Shannon, and Tamara together, like it just feels so right.
I think last season really suffered by trying to make Heather the
The
star
villain
of the
and the
show.
star.
But like she actually that isn't a great center for her because
Mm-mm.
she doesn't know how to drive story.
Right.
She's a reactionary.
Right.
And Tamara gonna drive some story. And she gonna drive
Tamara.
these women to the edges of earth.
Yeah. Tamara, like last week when Jen was simply being like, yeah, me and Ryan like never were intimate like sexually. And
Now
Tamara was like, we need to be honest about
what
that.
do you think of Orion and his back massager? That
You
was a
know what I thought?
terrible, terrible scene to watch.
Where she was like, not that part, this part. I
I was
was
like,
like, I
what
love
the fuck
them.
has happened? What?
I love them.
Oh, we took two different talk about paths divulging in a wood. I was like, no, 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 no. He looks like Joe Gorga if Joe Gorga had hair and was even uglier.
Even ugly. You think Joe Gorga's ugly?
I mean, I don't think he's eaten up with looks.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Okay, I think that there is a
This is
person in
shocking.
this world who could be attracted to Joe Gorga. I
And that person's
understand,
me.
but I understand like that him as a type. He is just that
Okay.
sort of Guido, nonsensical, misogynistic, terrible
Right.
man, doesn't really
Meatball.
want his daughter to work, isn't my vibe.
Right. I understand. Listen, it's not my vibe either, but yet I find myself attracted. I find him like conventionally good looking. Like he's a good looking guy. But this Ryan character, I'm really into Jen.
I
I'm
love
into
Jen.
her. I
I
love
think
Jen.
she's nuts, and
Nuts.
she's like Bravo was like, fuck, we have really messed up on casting this last spot. You know what? Let's just throw Gretchen, Alexis, Lizzie Rezkovic, and Alexis and what was Lydia in a like
Lydia.
blender and see who comes out. And we got Jen.
Jen, the yoga queen.
And she's like a little bit of oh my god, who was the woman who was like supposed to be like a cougar back in the day? Remember?
Oh, like back in the day.
Yeah, like back in the day, and
Not
she was
Quinn.
like one and done. Quinn.
Tammy Knickerbocker?
Yes, maybe it was Tammy Knickerbocker.
It was
She's
Tammy.
a little Tammy Knickerbocker by way of Alexis with a dash of Gretchen and a pinch of Lydia.
Sprinkle of Lydia.
It's just like she's and that her face morphs on screen. I'm like, who is that? Are we meeting a new woman? And then
No,
I'm like,
I
oh
know.
wait, no, there's Ryan. That must be Jen.
Yeah, she looks different. She also she's so traditionally Orange County. Like she's always in a bootcut jean, low waist.
Oh my god, that
like a
outfit she
cheetah
had on.
shirt at the Western
when they were
store.
rolling. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, somebody's
polka
got to do a
dotted
pass
top.
on these looks.
No, it's crazy. And so I loved when she was talking to Heather and Tamara at the Western store. And, you know, she was like, Ryan has a reputation. And Tamara's like, oh, yeah, he does. And Heather goes, oh, so he like, why are you guys acting like he murdered someone? And Tamara goes, he murdered some marriages.
And it seems, like, and the
Tamara.
way they said, and when she sort of was like, you know, I got together with Tamara and Heather, and we were talking about your reputation and how you slept with so many people. And he was like,
He's like, I did.
He was like,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm gonna take that one. I'm like, how down bad are the women of Orange County that they're all sleeping with Ryan?
I bet you he is
with
like
those
such
T-Rex
a hot commodity.
arms.
I think he's such a hot commodity.
And
For like a bored
5'2"?
housewife.
He seems quite tiny.
She's also tiny, so I think they're tiny together.
Oh, I thought she could be 5'2", she could be 6'8". I can't wrap my head around her. Which I love. She's the first OC housewife they've added where I'm genuinely like, what is happening in that home?
I know. I love
and I love
She's got
I love her
kids.
story with the kid who she
adopted,
who's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's a good person. I don't know that she's long for this show.
I'd like her for like 2 or 3.
But maybe she'll learn housewifery. Right now, she's just sort of like, you can tell she doesn't really know how to like get in there. She's not a Shannon who came in and was like, a bat out of hell and just understood the game.
Yeah. No, I said this last week about Jen is like, I think she came on the show and was like, I'm going to be open about my relationship. But
But
she
only
wasn't
tell one
prepared for the
truth.
questions. Right. Like she wasn't prepared for people to be like, oh, well, what about this? And now she's kind of like, you can kind of see like her wheels turning like, oh,
Has she
fuck.
ever
Like,
seen this show before?
I honestly don't know if this woman owns a television. Like, I don't, she
Well, she
seems
doesn't have a lot of
so,
furniture in that house.
no, she can't.
Seems to be
She
like one
can't. She has
sectional and like
space.
some
She doesn't
racks of
have the
clothes.
room for furniture.
What's going on? Why is there such a disparity of wealth on this show? Like, I feel like Heather is a
Well, there's like
billionaire, and
Heather
then
and then
everyone
everybody
else is
else.
like got like our level of money. Like, can we get to like? I think I might have more in the bank than Gina.
Gina.
I fear
Yeah.
living in that tiny home with 9 kids and that terrible boyfriend.
Oh, Travis. Oh,
I
he's
hate him.
awful. I hate him too. I'm
There's never been
sorry.
such
Like,
a dude on TV. Just like there he
he's
goes.
such a dude.
I
And
feel like
like
he's
not in
never.
a
He's
good
always eating
way.
wings.
Yeah, like
And
he's
I know
not a
I've never
good
seen him eat
dude.
wings, but I feel like he's always eating wings.
Buffalo Wild Wings, B-dubs.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like he just reminds me of like every DoorDash driver like I've ever had.
I've honestly palled around with some DoorDash drivers, like in that app, and had a better conversation than I've ever had with Travis.
Well, you've never had a conversation with
Well, you know, when I'm
Travis.
watching the show and I'm like, well, there's Travis. And I'm like, maybe this time he'll give me a little something.
Yeah. And you know, it's tough when you see Matt on screen.
Now, let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about. Look, it is one thing.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. I know what
It
you're
is,
gonna say.
it is really tough to hear her say she's trying to get his felonies removed. It, when his felonies aren't cheating on you, it was domestic abuse, I believe, correct?
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, I don't know that this is like a man we need to be repositioning as this character we all love. And you
No,
know that's how I feel about Frank Catania also. You all want to like support him. And I'm like, this man is a known domestic abuser. What are we doing?
number one dad. Remember the necklace he wore? The gold chain, number one
Honestly,
dad.
I'm afraid because Frank Catania's in some places I wouldn't like him to be, and I feel he might
He's on
listen
2
to
T's
this.
and a pod.
Yeah, like I'm concerned.
So with Matt, what's confusing to me with this whole Gina situation with Jen, her being like, I just feel really uncomfortable because like I was cheated on. I'm like, you need to be more mad at him for like abusing you. And like,
He's sitting like deck side on the side of like your house, just like, hey girl, like
yeah, like she's like, I love that we're able to co-parent and I
I
really
thought
want
that
him to get
scene
these
of the 2 of
felonies
them was from like
dropped.
3 years ago, and then it was flashed like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what
I
is
was
his
like, what are we
business? He
doing?
was in a full suit?
He
What's going
doesn't
on
have a
with him?
job anymore.
Why was he in that suit?
I think because he came from court.
Or unfortunately.
And she's probably like, well, I bet she just wants him to get these felonies dropped so that he can get a job so that she can get child support.
And look, she ain't getting no child support.
No. But it's
She
weird
needs to
that
be
she
off
cares
this
so
show.
much about this cheating situation. It's very weird.
And if she's going to care, I am going to need her to bring it up to Jen. I
Yeah.
am tired of it being fully in confessional.
I'm tired of her being like, I gotta leave this conversation. I'm tired of housewives leaving conversations. To confront them.
And it's
Go to
just
the
like
Tamra Judge School of Housewives.
and it at this point, and I know we said we love this show, and now we're just like picking it apart. I'm like, I fucking hate
I
Gina.
love it.
I do, but I just need Gina to, if she must be on this show for as long as she has been, she's
Crazy.
got to step up. And if you hate this woman because you're making her cheating on her husband about you, great. That's wonderful housewife narcissism. But you have to tell her that so that she can react and yell at you.
Right. And like there needs
Or
to be
you
tension.
need to tell Tamra so Tamra can be like, hey, so she just told me she hates you because you cheated on your husband.
Now, the real fight of this season so far is Heather versus Taylor Armstrong over an Oklahoma film.
The mysterious, what the fuck is the movie called?
Yeah, what is Masterpiece?
Masterpiece. No, I much like Taylor, I took myself over to IMDb, and the director of this film, Masterpiece, has worked with another artist multiple times. Would you like to take a guess?
Is it like a Bravo celeb?
Mm-mm.
Is it a real
It's
celeb?
someone of dignity.
Of dignity.
Of
Who?
dignity. He has directed several music videos for Ms. Barbara Streisand,
What?
and now he's working with Miss Taylor Armstrong
In
in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. What are you even saying to me?
I clicked on his IMDb and just scrolled down, and he directed like 5 music videos for Barbara Streisand. Now, I didn't even know Barbara Streisand had music videos,
Wow.
but I'll be getting my
Wow.
eyes on them later.
What
Mhm.
the fuck? And he is the one
And by the way,
that
Masterpiece is
wants to
still in
see.
pre-production. It hasn't even been filmed yet.
So he's the one that wants to see Heather Page Kent Dubrow's like reel.
He's like, "I've worked with Barbara Streisand. I'm not taking Heather Page Kent unless I see a reel."
Wow. And I just love this because this is drama that's happening on camera. They're confronting each other on camera. Like, this is what I want to see. And also, Taylor
And I'm with
knows
Taylor.
exactly what she's doing and what she's saying to Heather. Like, when she said, oh, yeah, it was 22 episodes. She knows what that means, but
And
she's
I
going to
thought it was
pretend like I
strange
was
that
just
Heather didn't
saying.
say, "Actually, it was 36." 'Cause that's more,
Was
you
it?
know? Yeah, it was 36.
Wow. Heather
Um,
doesn't even know her own
no,
information.
and we do forget that Taylor is, like, she is a founding member of Housewives. So
She
she knows,
is.
even though she wasn't around for a long time, she had a good time. She's the only person in the history of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills who had Kim Richards on her knees, just, like, getting ready.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of the housewives basically were like, "Kim, I gotta back away." She's
Yeah, you touched down on early Beverly Hills, a little bit
I
this week,
I
and
I
you were
touched
like,
down and
"Sam,
touched right out.
you were like, "They're terrified of Kim, except Taylor."
LVP was even like, "I actually can't approach that bench.
Nope. They were like, "We're not doing this
It's
today."
too chaotic. I won't even, like,
Yeah.
use a minion to get at her. I'm just gonna, like, mm-mm."
Mm-mm, that's Big Kathy in there brewing.
And so I love what Taylor's up to, and I
I do
think that,
too.
look, Taylor is not right,
Mm-mm.
but as I've often told you, being right is not always important. It's who's more likable. And in this
Totally.
case, I have to say, I think Taylor is coming off as a bit more likable because Heather
Well,
has
of
no sense of humor
course.
about herself.
Well, no, and I also think Heather's, like, really drunk,
Her last
and,
credit
like,
was from 1980, like 97.
she
She's like, "I
gave up her
gave up
life to be a
but
mom.
that's more than 10 years, sweetie, and I don't think her kids were born in 97.
Well, no, because her kids are 18.
Right,
But I
so
think she moved to Orange County at that point and
right,
gave up her life in LA.
because she was no longer getting roles because she's not a good actress.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
I
I
just
just don't know
love
that
when
we need to
Heather
be
gets
wrapping
on
this
that,
around that high
but I
horse.
like when Heather gets on that high horse though. Like, I enjoy it because it's good TV, and for her to be like just eating Taylor the fuck up, and she was like, actually, that feels punitive to me. That is like one of Heather's favorite things to say to people. And then I also love the history with Shannon and Tamra, like where Shannon's then in a confessional, like, I've experienced this tone before. Like,
Well,
I'm enjoying that.
I know. I thought it was crazy when Taylor said, like, "Well, you have a pedigree," and she twisted it to make it sound like that was even a negative, and everyone was like, "Okay, Heather, like, come on.
Yeah, she
Like,
was like, what is
that's
that supposed to mean?
am
I'm
I a
like,
dog?" Like, "Ma'am."
and another thing I love is like when they argue and they're in a costume and like they all have these hats on and like they're in this like Western, like, I just love it.
But
I
what was
love
making
this
me
show so
laugh about her
much.
monologue at the end was how Bravo played it, which was sort of for laughs because it kept cutting to all the women basically like stopping themselves from giggling at her of like, "This is
Mhm.
so stupid. Like, could you
This is
please
so
shut the
stupid.
fuck up?"
But this is Housewives to me. Like, this kind of fight is Housewives, and that's why it feels so good. Like, I'm not watching people argue over like real shit. I'm
I
watching
mean,
women argue about a movie that hasn't even been
I know,
released.
but I'm excited to see Taylor's response next week. I felt like
Me too.
that was a little bit of a cock tease from Bravo. Like, come on, give me a little bit of something from Taylor.
Well, Taylor will go Oklahoma on your ass.
Yeah, she'll get up, she'll scream,
She
"Enough! Enough!"
enough. Taylor really, so last week I was on the podcast, and I come on here and I spout nonsense sometimes, and I was like, I don't really care for Taylor. Like, I don't really get the excitement over her. But this
I
week,
wish she
I
was
was
full
really
time and we
happy.
bumped Gina. Actually, I was gonna say
I
bump
think she's
Gina.
going to be full time next year for sure.
I
The
was
way
gonna say
that
bump
the
Gina
way that
down,
she
but
was
bump
sitting
her
front,
off.
she was sitting first chair on Watch What Happens Live.
Well, who was the other guest? Was it another housewife?
A journalist, Essie Cup.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's pretty standard that
But
housewives sit close
still,
random. But what I think is more interesting is that she has appeared on the show before Gina, the other one who I
Emily.
love, Jen.
Oh,
And
I'm
has
excited
Shannon
for
been up in
Jen's
there?
appearance.
No, Shannon's been there. Yeah.
I think so. I do want to talk about Emily. So I like this journey with her daughter becoming a model.
I don't think that daughter is eaten up with enough charisma for me to do solo work. So let's.
You don't think her daughter's Annabella's cute?
No, she's no. Remember when we were going on like auditions with Gia back in the day? That was like, okay, we got
That was a
something to
star.
watch. Like,
That
no,
she was
Gia's
giving us
morphed into
something.
like an asshole monster, and I hate
A
her.
monster, yeah.
But back in the day when she did the runway, that was like something to watch. This is akin to when we had to watch Ramona like take Avery to auditions.
Yeah, but that was like Avery didn't want to do that.
I know
Annabella, I think, actually wants to like do this.
she does, and she's a nice, sweet girl, and I think she should do like her church
She's
play.
so
And
blonde.
I just don't think she's, she's not
Yeah, she
popping
doesn't
off the
have the star
screen.
power.
She's not popping off the screen we're currently seeing her on. So I don't know that we need to see her on other screens.
Right. She could do print work for like limited too.
Also, she's already. I kind of want to say to like these kids, it's like you're already on national television.
Right.
Like you don't like. I wouldn't be auditioning to do more. Like just get on the
Mhm.
show you're already on more.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really enjoying myself over in OC.
But I'm
Now,
really happy Ryan didn't join us in Montana because for some reason I thought he was the
I
link to
was
why we were going.
terrified of Tamara's Ryan.
Yeah, I thought like, oh
I
well,
thought
no,
so too.
I was like, oh, when we get to the ranch, Ryan's gonna be there, and I
I
was
was worried.
really happy not to see him because
Have you
he's a troubling
taken
figure.
a look around his ex's Instagram?
No,
Sarah Jane.
That's so upsetting that we both know this woman's name who appeared on camera like 3 times.
Kind of like the one time you came on, and you were like Steinmetz.
Oh, Vicky's Steinmetz.
Vicky Steinmetz, Gumbles. What was it? Vicky
Vicky
Steinmetz,
Steinmetz,
Wolf
Wolf
Smith,
Smith, Gunvalson.
Gunvalson. Yeah.
Almost. What was his name? Lodge.
Ayers.
Oh.
Oh.
I went
You went
Lodge way.
Lodge. Yeah, I went Brooks way.
And honestly, should I tell the listeners what I revealed to you recently?
What?
What house husband of OC I found very attractive?
Oh, please.
What's his name?
Go for what?
What's his
You
name?
told me.
What's Megan King's husband's? Jim.
Jim.
Jim Edmonds.
Edmonds.
I think it might be that I hated her so much and he had the same level of hatred. So we connected on that.
He hated her.
And I did too. So it was just like we locked in.
Hated. Like
just scenes of him packing that duffel bag to get the fuck out of that house.
To go to Minnesota. He was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I will never
injecting
forget
herself with like hormones in the bathroom. And he's like, gotta
yeah,
go.
and she like had to go get like her egg retrieval and he wasn't there. And she kept trying to like connect with Heather on this. And Heather was like,
that's really weird. You need to connect with your husband.
Yeah, but she was trying to be like, well, was Terry there during that? And Heather was like, yeah.
Like, yeah, that was the one time I did see Terry, sweetie.
Yeah. It was like we were in a hospital. Of course he was there. But I will never forget when they were walking into that party and she was like, hi. And he just mutters under his breath and he goes, no one's looking at you. I was like, Jim,
I liked it. And I'm sure he's married to some other terrible woman. So let's get her on camera.
They live in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah,
remember when Megan married that Biden?
That's like a fever dream.
For like a month.
Cuffy? What was Cuff?
Cuff.
Wasn't his name Cuff? I think it was Cuff Biden.
Was it Cuff?
I think so. Cuff it, wasn't it?
Cuff it?
Yeah, she married him. They divorced quickly. She's someone I never need to see back. My one critique of OC this season would be every single party, a car rolls up, and I'm waiting and hoping Victoria joins us. When we were at that cut party, I was like, oh, no, now she's coming. Then another car would roll up. I was like, all right, finally Vicky's here. Then I
I
just
need
sort of
her
had
to
to
come
go, I don't
back.
think she's coming. And I don't think she's joining us on this Montana trip. I think it's probably our
I
second trip where
yeah,
she'll
I
burst
can't
in through the
imagine.
doors.
And scream. You also really loved a moment this week when Shannon talked about her vagina.
I
And then
almost
you saw
threw
Tamara
up.
grab her vagina.
It was just like, I didn't know bony was a word we could associate with a vagina.
Yeah.
And she made it sound like it was all bone.
That's why it's like hard for me to ride a bike.
Uh,
Is that too
I don't
much?
want to be anti-feminist, but just leave that. Keep it to yourself.
Leave that over there.
Yeah.
Now this is something I've been avoiding bringing up, and I feel like you're the perfect person to talk about it with because you
it about
feel
OC?
the same way. No, it's about another
Okay.
franchise that's on.
Another franchise that's on.
Mhm.
I'm not watching Martha's Vineyard.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Atlanta.
The Forgotten Sisters.
The Forgotten Sisters.
You know, I'm still watching. I just forget about it. I forget about it in a bad way.
The Forgotten Sisters.
It's just like they're still family. They're still mothers, sisters,
aunts.
They're definitely my aunties, but it's bad.
Get a lot of DMs being like,
Like,
why aren't you talking about Atlanta? Why aren't you? And I was like, I
think we all
can't.
know.
Like, I can't talk about it.
It's terrible.
This show was my everything. Atlanta Housewives was like my gateway into Housewives. It was like I turned to them when I was at my lowest.
I know. I can't hear you cry again about how you used to be all alone watching Watch What Happens Live. And no one else got you. Keep it to yourself.
Why? Because you'll start crying?
No, you will.
I know. But I would like turn to Nene and Cynthia and Kim and Sheree.
I still turn to Sheree.
I don't know what is going on over there. What the fuck is happening? And you know what's funny is like the internet's so protective of Atlanta that like when OC was down bad, when New York was down bad, everyone was like screaming about it. Everyone, like, you couldn't escape.
Now we're just silent. We're just like, don't talk about it.
We're just like, our heads are down.
Put your head in this fucking sand and we can hope in a few years it'll get better. Just like,
yeah, like there's no talking about it. That's what's hilarious.
It's not like everyone is on the internet screaming what they should be screaming, which is fire Candy and Kenya. I guess I'm screaming it.
I guess you are. I don't disagree, Chris.
I just think
the worst part.
It is and will always be my favorite Real Housewives franchise.
Yeah.
It is difficult for me to even go back and watch old episodes because of how emotionally connected I feel to these women.
I know.
I tried to go back. I saw Greg Leaks for 1 second and I had to turn it off because I wasn't emotionally stable to remember what a beautiful soul he was. And when I saw Nene's Father's Day post about him, I was sobbing.
Yeah. It was really emotional.
And this season, and I want to say, there's this thing we do when we watch these shows, which is we blame the women.
Okay.
This is a production problem.
You think?
Because I don't know how, when you have Sheree Whitfield, Marlo Hampton, Kenya Moore, and nothing's happening.
Something with production's up.
They have, and maybe it's that the women aren't listening to production because, and again, I just said it about Candace. Kenya's doing the same thing. I don't care what Marlo has said about you, your child, your mother. You need to get on camera with her. Like isn't
mic up.
Yeah, sorry, Candy. I don't care if she has brought up.
Also, Mama Joyce is a horrible mom.
Well, that is her mother. I think that's a bit
different.
But
she's also a terrible mother.
I know, but your tolerance for your mother is a bit different than your tolerance for your Marlo, you know?
She has a lot of tolerance for Mama Joyce.
I know, and too much.
Also,
I would
Todd
agree.
is terrible.
I hate Todd. Him in that fucking movie. Now, that is a movie that I'm talking about masterpiece. Did Todd write it? What is he talking about? Hall passes and
I hate Todd.
You know where I haven't seen Todd?
Where?
On the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Is he in the WGA? Like, what is even?
No.
Is he writing the movie?
I don't know what he does.
He seems to just be doing a lot of Zoom calls, and then he has a poster for the movie, but
I'm
not
gonna
one
say
thing
it.
has been shot.
He's pulling a Harry and Meghan, where it's like a lot of weird Zooms and a lot of like, we're doing this and planning and plotting, but nothing's actually getting done.
I don't think the over-under on us seeing this movie is ever. Like, I don't think we're ever
No.
getting eyes on what's it called? The Proposal?
There's
That
already been
movie's
a
going
movie
the
called that.
same way of Ralph's book.
Oh, non-existent.
Mhm.
Now, do you wish Ralph and Drew divorced on camera? Are you mad that they waited till after filming Wrapped?
No, because I love the story of them like highway car chase down to try to get to the courthouse. And I don't
You
know that we were
love
ever going to get that on
them.
camera. I hate them. I think they're both
Right.
terrible. But what
But you
they're
love
up
them
to
a
in their
lot.
scenes is like so crazy. The fact that you can tell they're both like, okay, this is what the scene's about. And we're going to do this, 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 and this. And then they can't quite pull it off.
I know.
When
The
that
thing about Drew and
director was
Ralph,
like, your body's not good enough to be in this music video.
oh, so
Did you see that
harsh.
little guy rage? What was his?
Yeah, harsh tie. It was the thing with Drew and Ralph that always makes me laugh is like they don't realize how transparent they are. In like
No.
their like when she talks about their marriage and she's like, I love him. But it's like you don't. And that's
They
okay.
think they are like the most authentic two people on planet Earth.
I know. They're not.
And it's like I can see the cue cards you guys have written.
We can all see it.
And I need everyone to be nicer to my girl Sanya. The future of
I
this
was about
franchise.
to ask you, go ahead, talk about Sanya because
she's beautiful.
There's a lot of hate on her.
She's beautiful. She comes with a pedigree. She is great. I personally am loving everything that's happening with that family because it's so wild that she's like, I really need you to stay. And the family's like, we want to leave. Her husband's like, I want them to leave. The kids are like, it's fine if they leave. And Sandy's like, we got to stay.
Yeah. For the sake of me staying on the show.
For the sake of this family, we need
stay.
you all together.
What is her son's name again? Ducey. I love
Prince
little Ducey. Yeah, I love little Ducey. Her husband.
Ralph? What's his name? Ross.
Ross?
Aaron Ross.
Oh my God. Like
it's like a man has finally joined us. It's like
no, like it's like a god has
we've been dealing with like
Bravo.
dusty elders. And look, as I told you, like sometimes on Bravo,
we're talking about Jim Edmonds over in
right.
OC.
You get along to go along. It's like it was in the desert and Jim Edmonds appeared like a mirage of water. I had to say,
and you're like, that's it for me. We're like talking about Ryan.
Oh, that muck. We're trying to get it
then
up for
we
Eddie.
See Ross, and you're just like, wow, that's it.
He's the hottest man who's ever been on Bravo. Sorry, Maurice.
I mean,
fuck it. I hate Maurice. And I loved when Kim was just calling him just the wrong name to his face.
Kim and Kathy are probably rejoicing about this affair Kyle is having.
Like,
they are probably like, we fucking hated Maurice. Get him out of here. Fuck this girl.
That dusty elder Rick is smiling. He's like, I won in the end.
Have you ever taken a trip down his Instagram, Rick Hilton?
Mm-hmm.
I'm obsessed. It's like so wholesome. And it's just like photos of like a tennis court. And he'll be like, happy tennis day. Or like a photo of Paris. And he'll be like, I love my daughter. You're just like, what's going on?
This is my favorite bird. It's like, sir, that's a picture of your eye. What are you talking about?
And it feels like real. Like he's really posting this. It's so funny.
It's so nice to have like a good looking man on our cameras. So for that alone,
please. I can't look at Todd anymore.
Oh my God, that beard.
That fucking little munchkin.
And then who else do we have?
We have Sheree's man, Martell.
But we don't really see him. He seemed to have gotten the heck out of Dodge.
He was like, I'm going to get fucking destroyed if I stay on this show.
Yeah.
The thing is like, we need Portia back.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
We need Nene back.
Chris, that's like praying. That's like praying for clean air when there's Canadian wildfires going on. Like
it's just true. Like the show needs this. Nene is bigger than Bravo.
But we can get Portia. So let's aim for what was realistic.
Well, then we have. Then Kenya must go. because we cannot retread this thing. I can't have them come back and us
It's
retread
unfortunate,
that
but
same.
I would be willing to get rid of Kenya to get
Kenya
Portia.
Summer. And look, I want Kenya to go do something. Maybe she could go to Summer House. I don't know. Like, we need to start playing with like. I'm not saying Kenya doesn't need to
Get
be
her
on
over on
television.
Vanderpump.
Yeah, like I'd love to see her like in that opening.
She would literally read all of those people for filth. Like, she would look at Katie and be like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" She would look at Ariana and be like, "Get a personality." She would fuck Tom Schwartz.
Oh, she would rip and run everybody. Or send Kenya up to New York City. I don't care. It's just like, I'm not saying she needs to be off of television, but I need these women. If we're going to start playing fast and loose with our rules, send Kenya to with Meredith and the gang.
Grey's Anatomy?
No. Love to
Who's
see
Meredith?
Her. I'd love to see her
Salt
trot
Lake
those
City.
boards. I'd love
Salt
to
Lake
see
City.
her in
Salt Lake
scrubs.
City. I forget Salt Lake City exists unless it's on.
But I think that she would be great on that show because we need someone who's willing to get to the bottom of things.
Yeah. And she needs to get to the bottom of Meredith.
Do you think Kenya Moore would have sat around for that whole black eye nonsense?
Oh my God, never.
So
never.
Let's
also, I really hope we get Cynthia on Beverly Hills because she is like genuinely friends with Sutton and them.
Friends, they seem to be lovers. They're never not together.
I love it. I love that bitch.
I could know. I want Cynthia. I would love to see Cynthia pop up on Beverly Hills. I want Kenya on I truly would like to see Kenya just jaunt through the Summer House. I don't know.
They wouldn't know like what hit them.
And just like have to deal with Kyle.
Oh my God, she would.
Like, I feel like we need to stop thinking of housewives on this lateral level. Like, let's get people going to places they don't belong. Like, we
got to branch out.
Let's get Vicky on Martha's Vineyard. I want to see.
That would be
just like, hey guys, like she rolls in with a keg, and it's just.
Like, I would love to get Giselle and Karen on Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah, I want to see. And what are the other I'd love to see Ashley on that ballroom dancing show.
Oh, Dancing Queens.
I can't abide by the Below Decks. I only watch them when I'm in hotel rooms.
Well, it's the only thing Bravo ever has on the channel. Bring Shaw's back and let's get, Alexia on there.
I'd love to see Giselle just pal around with MJ.
Oh my God.
And I'd love to see MJ for no reason go on an Ultimate Girls trip.
Are you excited for Crappy Lake?
For a moment, I was going to ask you what that is. Antics aren't my favorite thing on Bravo. Like, it's one of the reasons I didn't really love watching Manzode with Full Rules, or what was it called?
Manzode with Children.
Yeah, that I couldn't do because I watched it. It was just a bunch of like,
hijinks.
Oh yeah, we're making like salad, and now the salad's on the ground. It's like, what? This is just fucking make a salad and sit the fuck down.
I miss Caroline though. I'm not gonna lie. We'll never see her again.
No.
Not after Girls Trip.
I'll watch Crappy Lake, but I'm not as excited for Crappy Lake as I am, say, the New York reboot.
Oh, you're excited for the New York reboot. That's actually very nice to hear.
Yeah, I don't understand why people wouldn't be.
I'm excited as well.
It looks it looks like it might serve something akin to where we are with OC.
Yeah.
Low stakes, normal drama. These women all look beautiful. I worry they're a bit too sane, but people will tip.
Yeah.
I have no
fear. A little bit of fame.
I worry that I hear not a lot of them drink, and that's upsetting. But I think Bravo was like, look, the last round we did was basically alcoholism. So we can't. So we'd like some sobriety around here.
Yeah, we need like a balance.
Are you excited for the return of Dubai?
No.
No? You won't even give it a second go?
I literally don't care about Dubai at all.
Wow. Not even for the breakout star, that lady everyone loved?
Chanel Ayan?
Yeah.
Love her. Really get her on something else. But like, I don't get her just her own show. Like, I felt like Dubai was a show that was like just a housewife show made in a lab. Like, it just didn't feel like real. I was like, I don't
Caroline
really
Stanberry had none of the charm she had on that.
Well, because she's surrounded by stars. So it's like, then
stars.
Chanel.
Well, that's a star. I don't know that.
Well, that's a big star. She on Ladies of London was like the queen bee.
Well, I always liked Sophie on Ladies of London.
Loved Sophie Stanbury, her sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law.
Yeah, I always cared for Sophie, and
I did as well.
hated the Americans, and then of course the woman who is no longer with
Has
us.
passed.
Yeah.
I know everyone's always like reboot Ladies of London. I'm like, she's
Oh my gosh.
dead. Like
One of
they
our stars is
can't.
she's not with us, our mainstay.
She was so tragic, like so devastating. She broke her back riding that horse. Remember?
Do you know the most? This is a real gear shift. Talk about a twist. Do you know who the most tragic figure on all of Bravo is to me?
Who?
Remember that gothic woman who joined us for the first season of Southern Charm? She had like a tweedy.
Jenna?
Yeah.
Why do I know that? Jenna.
She was the most tragic person. Every single scene of her, I had tears in my eyes. I was like, why is this woman on this show? It doesn't make any sense.
You really thought that?
She was both dark-sided and boring.
And they all were like accusing her of being like an escort.
Yeah. And then
They
the
were
real
like, how do you
escort
get all
was
your
Catherine.
money? Catherine. One of the biggest fucking
reveals.
Yeah, like they really painted her out to I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Never mind.
Well, it was just shocking. Like it was like a side character who they weren't expecting. She was just an extra at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Emerged and took over the show. She's a real rags to riches to rags story.
She's for
Rags
Thomas
to
Ravenel
rags.
to get full custody of those kids.
And I'll never forget watching that 9 months later, baby crying,
crying, and the screen's black. Yeah.
It was
I'll never forget Thomas Ravenel looking at her and be like, I'm an old man. I'm an old man.
Or her chasing him on that bridge like, Thomas.
They really were the show. Like, as toxic as they were, like, I loved watching them.
For a while when
they like loved each other.
When Southern Charm was good, and I know there was that expose article that was basically like when Trump got elected, Bravo was like, we got to give something to racist people, and so they created Southern Charm. That's a tough pedigree for that show. Talk about pedigree.
Yeah.
But when it was good, it was great.
Or when Catherine dated Caleb's Ravenel.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking when the show, when the producers got a little too in the weeds and they started doing those like interludes between the episode, it would be like, Shep can't have a beer, bye-bye. Just like they would have.
And you hated Cameron.
Hated. One of the worst people to ever.
That is so shocking. She's like one of the most beloved people on Bravo.
No.
People love Cameron.
Terrible person. Was very happy to see her go. I always liked
Are you a Shep girl? Craig Austin?
I was Craig the house down until he joined Summer House.
Yeah, until he started dating Paige.
Felt like next to Shep, he came off like a wonderful gentleman to me. But then next to Carl, he came off as the monster he really is.
Yeah, because Carl is king.
Well, I guess Carl was also a monster for quite a bit.
Yeah, but Carl has grown. Let's not go back.
I will say I wasn't clued into the show. I tried to go back, but found it so upsetting. So I really didn't start watching the show until Carl had gotten his act together.
When his brother passed.
Yeah. So
now, did you see that photo of him at that festival? In those pants?
I was in the comments defending my man. You know, Nene Leakes, my man. Leave him alone. He's the second best looking man on Bravo.
Oh my God. He is so handsome.
And he's a nice man.
Yeah, he's like very rooted in reality.
And I hate that Danielle girl. Oh. She's a bad egg. And that shadowy figure, that boyfriend.
Robert?
When he came onto camera, I text you, who is this man and how do we get rid of him?
Yeah, well, he's gone.
He sent a chill down my spine. And I want everyone to know, just as an FYI, I loved Southern Charm, but I don't stand by any of the antics we saw in that show.
Nope, none.
All of them were.
Everyone was down bad on that show, except for
that girl I loved, whose name I can't remember.
I really loved Naomi.
I never cared for Naomi. Loved Matul, but then you told me some not great.
He cheated on her.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, then I still.
But it was
like
it was like for a long time, and he was like getting Naomi to move to New York, and he was like cheating on her with this girl.
Cheating's gonna happen,
Who was the girl you liked?
I cannot remember her name. She was like
Danielle. Danny?
No. Yes, Danny. She was amazing. I felt she deserved
Danny, the one that smoked cigarettes? Or Madison?
No, Madison was like a
I'm
bat out of
obsessed
hell.
with Madison.
Madison was terrifying.
I'm so obsessed with Madison.
Madison is the
Okay,
type
you
of
like
woman who I see
Danny.
in a party and I'm like, keep her away from me.
Oh my God, I love her energy. Like, so chaotic.
She's so scary.
I love her.
I did appreciate, and I hated on the guy she dated.
Austin?
Yeah, not for me.
The fact that now she's like happily married to this like hot ass man and like they live in like a $2 million house.
I know
like,
Austin's like 6'5" or whatever, but I don't think he's anything for us to be writing home about. Like, Lindsay, come on. My white woman of color.
I have to
He
tell
was
you
down
something.
bad when that happened.
I have to tell you this.
Uh-oh. You're attracted to Austin?
He's different in person.
He looks like a Muppet.
It hits different in person. I can't explain it.
I'm good, love.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so ashamed, but it's true.
I'll be
like
over
when I
here
saw him
with
at BravoCon, I
Aaron
was
and
like, okay.
Aaron Ross and Carl, you know. I've got my house with Aaron Ross, Carl, and Jim Edmonds.
Yeah.
And you
those
know,
are your sister wives.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah.
Those are my top guys.
This was a really ragtag episode.
I don't know what we talked about. I don't know if you should even release this.
Well, I am. So please tell everybody where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at clewis1219. If you're interested in the Sex and the City universe, you can always listen to Shortcomings, where we cover every episode. We're deep into And Just Like That right now. And if you'd like to support us, you can support the Patreon, which is patreon.com/Shortcomings Podcast. And this is a great time because I'm going to be getting Sam to sit down and we're going back to some of the original texts. We're watching early episodes of RHONY, which is usually I fall asleep to old episodes of The View. And I've recently, and I just turn on old RHONY and I don't really fall asleep. I end up watching like 3 in a row. And then I fall asleep and wake up to like 5. I'm in like season 5 because it's just run all night.
Yeah.
But it's great. So if you want to hear our unhinged thoughts on early RHONY, support the Patreon.
Yeah, please. And then you guys have a great, safe, beautiful, amazing weekend. I'll see you all next week. Bye.